One. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of GG Gaming. I'm your host, Andrew. Today is Monday, May 2nd, 2022. With me, I have AlphaStoutland.
What's up, guys?
I felt like this was very last minute because we did our last show on Friday, and we usually aim for Mondays. So only a few days had passed, and I was like, oh wait, today's Monday. And I quickly texted you. I was like, are you free? You're like, yeah, I'm free until this time. And I'm like, oh, okay, let's do it. So let's just jump into it because we don't have too much time. But what have you been up to past week?
Like I had told you before, well, actually just the weekend this time. I've just been working on the bulk steadily for my cards. I'm at the point now where I'm trying to go through the cards I'm planning on keeping. And I go through the multiples of those and get the best one with the best centering, best condition, whatever, and then just putting other ones in the bulk to sell. So I'm doing that right now. So I'm making headway, and I have a lot less boxes full than I did to start with. So I'm happy for that. I am making headway. So hopefully before too much longer, I'll be able to get back to editing and recording regularly and get some videos up and get back to gaming regularly as well. Because I do want to go back to Legends Arceus and stuff. So.
How many cards do you have?
A lot. I'll let you guys know the total when I'm finished sorting them all. But right now it's well over twice as much as I sent off the first time. So
okay. You should do some kind of not poll, but like guess of like who can get the guess closest to how many cards.
Have some kind of prize or something. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Maybe do something for the person who gets it. I don't know what.
That's a good idea. We'll see. If you have any recommendations for like a fairly reasonable price, like I can't give someone like $100 or something like that, but something obviously. Like maybe a copy of a game on the eShop or something like that. That's like a $20-$30 indie game or something. Something like that. I feel like could be fun. And like someone pick.
You should announce that on Twitter if you're gonna do that.
That'd be a fun little giveaway. That'd be cool. But yeah, something like that. But yeah, I'm chugging along at it. I'm farther than I was, and that's all I can be happy about and thankful for. So it's coming along steadily. So, but yeah.
How much longer do you think until you're done?
Probably a few more weeks. By the time I get everything packed up and boxed up, I might have to. I don't think it'll all pass in one big box, because last time I saved a lot on shipping, because where I work we have an account through UPS, and so it saved a lot on shipping, and that just reimbursed our secretary with the money. So that was the easy thing to do. And I feel like this time I'm going to need 2 boxes of stuff to send off, so we'll see just how much weight it adds.
Big bulk. Alpha's got a big
it's
bulk.
Very bulky bulk this time around. So yep.
Anything new gaming wise?
No. Like I said, I haven't done anything on my Switch just because I'm trying to keep focused on that. Literally, this is the only thing I've done to touch my laptop or any technical device besides obviously my phone. Have been still watching YouTube videos and stuff like that. But as far as like gaming, I haven't done anything yet. I'm trying to stick to it. It's been right at a month since I played Legends Arceus, so that was the last game I played. So I'm really trying. I do want to return back to it once I'm finished with this, but also do want to get into editing and recording again. So I might do that before I jump back into Arceus, just so I can have something on the channel. And I do plan on doing like an update video, like, hey, this is where I've been. This is why I've not been here for going on 7 months now. But yeah, it's life happens sometimes, and it's going to be good to get back into the swing of things. I'm just trying to take care of this right now, so it's not looming over my head. And every time I record, I'm not like, there's a big pile of cards over there. So yeah. Just prioritizing one thing at a time. So
I see that you tweeted the thing, and I forgot to tweet the link.
I tweeted.
I posted the link to the live show on Discord, so I didn't do it on Twitter. So let me just retweet that real quick.
Little Shantae, baby.
Done.
No.
So I mean, are there any games or any game news coming out that like you're particularly interested in?
I saw the Min amiibo released, so that's cool.
It released?
Yes.
Or they showed, they announced that.
No,
what it looked like.
Papa Gino shared it on his channel. I saw his most recent video, and he actually had
Oh.
the amiibo in hand. So that's
Oh,
pretty cool. So it's gonna be a while before we get Sora. He's the only one of the last wave that I plan on getting. Banjo was the only one I
man.
got from the first one. So I'm psyched for the Sora one. That's it's gonna be nice.
There's a term for this that like I knew about this term, but I recently came across it because I've been studying up on like I've been taking Google's UX design course.
Hmm.
And there was a term they used for different biases, and this one was called sunk cost biasy
Okay.
or bias or sunk cost fallacy, something like that. I wrote it in my notes. Sunk cost something, but I'm like when I was reading it, I'm like, this is me with the amiibo because the only reason I'm still getting them is because I started. It's just like I can't
Yes, I
stop
can't
now.
stop
Like
now.
I
I'm
might as
so
well
far. Yeah.
finish. And I forget which ones. I think there's only a few of the last, like before the DLC came out.
Hmm.
There's only a few of like the last wave that I need. And I did not update my records with the because at one point I had them all like I had a checklist, and then after that checklist I bought maybe like 3 amiibo,
Hmm.
and I didn't write down which ones they were, so I have to go back and look. I'm just like, oh, which ones do I need now? I don't even
Hmm.
know. Um, ugh. But like I want to get them all, but they're just gonna sit in my closet.
Yeah, I've got a handful right here behind me. You see, I've got like Pac-Man, Mewtwo, Villager. I actually got Villager and Cloud from a buddy of mine, and I think the only new-ish ones that I have, I do have. Where's Banjo? Banjo is
Oh, I
right
need
here.
Banjo.
Banjo's right there. You can see it off the reflection. But I've got them. I've got those two. I've got Ice Climbers, and I've got Isabel. Those are the
Mm.
only new, like, ultimate onward new ones I've got. Sora will be the other one. But yeah, I almost got Plant and I almost got King K. Rool, but and the
Mm.
Ridley one's freaking dope too. But I was trying to make it to where I don't buy every single one of them, and I've got a few more. Like I said, I have Mewtwo, I've got Pac-Man, I've got Zero Suit Samus, and some others that I'm a big fan of their games, or I'm a big fan of the character, and I use them in Smash a lot. And I also, my very first one was Duck Hunt because I love Duck Hunt. Even to this day, I'm terrible with him in Smash, but such a fun character. I look great amiibo, but I didn't want to buy every single one of them because kind of like what happened with y'all. It's like, I already started. Why don't I just go ahead and get everybody?
Mm.
So yeah, and I was trying to really be picky and choosy because there was a
Kind of
couple I
like what?
almost bought. So
Kind of like what you said?
kind of like how you and Brandon had
Oh,
started the whole collection, and my buddy Net Ice 2000 also did
well,
that.
he's getting 2 of
Yeah.
everything. And I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh. I feel like that was something that crossed my mind at one point, and I was like, I don't have room for two.
Yep. And the only reason I have Banjo in the package still is mostly just because of space issues, and I don't want him to get, you know, I don't want him to fall or something. Plus, I feel like this is going
Hmm.
to be a super valuable amiibo on down the road because they made such a limited supply
Did
of
they?
them. Yeah, they
Oh, I
said that
gotta
they
get it.
made a certain amount. I mean, of course,
Oh no! Oh
yeah,
no!
it's not like a specified limited run, but it's we're going to print as much as demand calls for, and then that's it. So
I
I
really
feel like
gotta
this
go
is
back
gonna.
and I really gotta go back like this week. I was gonna say today, but I mean, because the bulk, almost all of my amiibo are at my parents'
Mhm.
house in my old closet because I don't have room for them in my apartment.
Yeah.
The idea is eventually to get a bigger place and have like a room to display them on a shelf. But until then, they're in a bag, and I'm just like collecting them until I have them all.
Mhm.
And I would have to first. I gotta see if there's I have an old checklist, but it must be I don't know if cache or cache is the word for like I don't know the pronunciation of it, but like when the website saves the information. So
Cash,
there's a
yeah.
checklist.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just didn't know if it was
I
cache
think
or
cachet
cache.
is like
Like a suitcase.
something like that, yeah.
Like this is
It's
my
spelled pretty much
cache
the same
of
way, except it's got like
this
an
is
accent
my
mark or something, yeah.
this is my web cache. But I want to because the checklist I was using would not update with my
Hmm.
newer ones. So every time I'd go back to it, it was like it was missing the new ones that I put in the checklist. So I need to find a checklist. Maybe there's an app. I don't know. There probably is an
Someone's probably
amiibo
made an
checklist
app or
app.
something, yeah.
So Basically, I need a checklist, and then when I go to my parents, I gotta take them all out of the bag. Hopefully, none of them are like crunched on top of each other, because that would be very upsetting. Um, and I just gotta figure out like which ones I have, which ones I
Hmm.
need, and then just get the rest because some of them have been out for a while, and I was kind of sitting on hoping that there were some are gonna get reprinted because they did that once before.
Yep.
Um, there was a bunch that were really hard to get, and I like bought them at their scalped prices because I was like, oh, I can't get them anymore.
Hmm.
And then they reprinted. So I was waiting for that to happen this time, but because Amiibo are not as in demand as they used to be,
Hmm.
I'm like, maybe it won't happen. And maybe the longer I wait, the harder it'll be to get. So I'm like, I don't know what do I do?
Yeah.
Do I just get it or do I wait? But if it doesn't get reprinted, then waiting will hurt me.
Hmm. One cool thing that Brandon pointed out in his video is that now the little metal NFC blocker strip that was at the bottom of Amiibo and why you couldn't scan them when they were in the box, that is missing in Min Mins.
Hmm.
And so apparently they're going to do that for this wave of the final Amiibo,
Hmm.
which is cool on their part, I would say. I mean, I feel like they did that just so you couldn't take your Switch into GameStop or Target or whatever and
Yeah.
just scan the amiibo. But then at the same time, it's like, what loser goes and scans the amiibo? And then it's like, oh, I've got the amiibo in my game. It's like, yeah, but you don't have the
Some
amiibo.
kid,
You don't have the
I
amiibo
guess.
though. You have the character in the game to train and stuff, but it's like, but you lack this. You lack the adorable little figure. It's like, so I don't know that many people would do that to
Hmm.
begin with, and so I'm glad that they're doing that for people like Brandon and others that do the sealed collection, where
Hmm.
they can keep it sealed, keep it minty,
That's
but
true.
still use it. So I like
Yeah, I
that.
didn't think from that perspective of someone who didn't want to take it out of the
Mhm.
box because I was like, you might as well keep it in there because I mean it does prevent people from using it, but I didn't consider the fact that people didn't like to take them out of the box. I'm like, oh yeah, no,
Mhm.
you might as well just keep it.
Yeah.
My perspective on Amiibo is, or my stance on the Amiibo is, I want to finish getting all the Smash ones because I've already sunken my it's all or nothing at this point with them. And then after that, and I've been doing this anyway, but just get ones that I would want like merchandise of. Um, and I there's some I haven't gotten yet, and I hope I still can. But like the Shovel Knight one I got, but
Mhm.
they made one for each of the Plague Knight, Spectre Knight, and King Knight
Yep.
ones, and I remember seeing it in the store at one point. And at the time, I was like, trying to save money and didn't want to just spend it on. I think because at the same time there was a bunch of things I wanted and I was like, well, which ones do I want?
Mhm.
And now I'm like, I want to get it, but where is it?
Yep. And I remember
So
seeing it in, was it Target, or I think it was Best Buy. I think
I
there was
saw
a
it at
couple
Best
at
Buy.
Best Buy. And I'm kind of like you. I almost bought it, but my thing was, and I have actually, you can't see because he's in the back behind my head somewhere, but I have the gold Shovel Knight. I saw
Hmm.
him. No, I pre-ordered him and bought him when he dropped, and I was like, I want that one. I didn't get the original one, and now it's pretty expensive and it's been sold out for a while. So I was like, well, I really like that one, and I don't have any versions of Shovel Knight on my Switch or 3DS that would work with, but it's a cool
Hmm.
figure still. And I
Yeah.
almost bought the 3 pack of those other three knights, and because they're really cool, and I really do like all of them. Plague Knight is probably my favorite of the three. I just love his design. And
Hmm.
I still need to go back and play Treasure Trove. I still have not finished. I've not played any of those versions. I
Really.
did, yeah, I went back and I did the Battletoads mission on my Steam version, and I never went back and did the others,
Hmm.
and I haven't played Shovel Knight Showdown. I need to go back and play that because it's literally been years since I touched Shovel Knight on my laptop on Steam. So that was on my old laptop. That was on my Toshiba. I have not touched it since I got this one. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's been a while. But I do want to go back and play that eventually and play through the other three characters' campaigns. So,
Hmm.
because I've heard they were all great, and Shovel
They
Knight was
were.
already great to begin with, and then the fact that they did three whole campaigns based on three of the most popular knights is really cool, and I'm very excited to
I'm
play Plague Knights in particular. So that'd be,
well. They made a new Shovel Knight game,
yeah.
but it's digital only, and I'm really hoping we get a physical
Hmm.
print because to me, a game that's digital only is like you don't exist.
Yep. It's too
I don't know
easy
why.
to just wipe. clean. It's like if you
Yeah.
have it on a cartridge, at least if it's wiped from an eShop or whatever, you can still have that physical version. But
I mean,
with
look what's
that,
going on with the eShop.
yep.
So my stance is like, because I'm a collector and I like to display stuff. It's a bit hard to display things now, but in my in the future that I'm aiming for, where I want to get a place that I could have an office that acts as my personal room,
Hmm.
I will display that stuff. In which case, I would like to maybe display some of my favorite series on like a shelf, like a game shelf next to,
Hmm.
excuse me, a TV that I might have my gaming set up. So if I want to say, hey, I have the Shovel Knight collection, it's going to be Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, and there's going to be nothing else. And it's like, yeah, I own the collection, but I only have this one game to show for it. You know, it's like
Yep.
they're really pushing hardcore for streaming and like digital games and like the generations now. I feel like it's not everybody, but there's some that are okay with digital only because they don't have the mentality because they've been brought up with that mentality of not wanting to really display or not needing to display because they've been brought up in this age of streaming where someone
Hmm.
like me is you when you wanted something you had to buy it, and so I set myself up mentally to display those things. So to not have what I own displayed is like I don't own it.
Hmm.
That's what it feels like.
Yep.
So it's I think it's just a difference in generation. So it's not wrong for you to not want to display your stuff, and it's not wrong for you to have a preference of digital. But people like me who do have a preference of physical, we're like left in the dust. You know, it's like,
Hmm.
what am I gonna do now? So, um, but speaking of digital only, I have a feeling Sonic Origins will eventually get a physical release because they did the same thing with Sonic Mania,
Hmm.
where it was digital only. Then they released a new scenario with new characters, and they released it physical as Sonic Mania Plus. So I'm expecting, and I shouldn't because I don't want to get let down, but I'm expecting we get something like Sonic Origins Plus. And when Sonic Mania came out, and then they gave us Mighty and Ray, people were like, well, where's Amy? Where's Amy? And so I have a feeling that they're going to give us Amy this time.
Okay.
And there was I don't know how credible the leak was. The leak, I think, predicted like a couple of things. And one of the things they said was we would get a playable Metal Sonic, but they didn't mention anything about Amy. So I'm like, it would be awesome if we got both Metal Sonic and Amy in our Sonic Origins Plus
Yep.
collection, you know? Like they're doing these, I think, quote unquote waves of DLC where we'll get like this pack. And so maybe in the future we'll get like a character pack, and then at the end they'll put it all together in one physical package after I've already bought all the DLC. And I'm like, well, what's this physical package going to do other than me sinking another $50 or so or less into just putting it on my
Hmm.
shelf? So I don't know. What one thing that's a little annoying about going from digital to physical in that instance, like I I remember specifically I didn't have it on I didn't have a Switch at the time, so it was only on the PS4, I think. So at this time when Sonic Mania, not Sonic Mania Plus, but the original Sonic Mania came out, I had gotten it digitally on the PS4. And eventually when Plus came out and I bought the physical package, and I put the disc in because like you can either upgrade it digitally. So I don't remember the numbers. Let's just say for example it was like you could spend $20 to get the plus and its contents, and I don't know if that was the price. Just example, you can either get the extra content because you already have it digitally, or you can buy for the full price of the game. And I bought the game for the full price because I wanted the package. And so when I put the disc in to play, because I didn't have the remainder of the digital, it's like, oh, if you use this, you won't be able to use your digital game anymore. I'm like, really? Like, what I would have preferred, which maybe there's issues with this, I don't know. Like, if people maybe can get like two games out of one somehow, like give it to their friend, I don't know. But what I would have preferred was it recognizing that I have it digitally and saying, here, you can get the data from the disc, so you can continue to play it digital only. Or you can, if you pop the disc in, play it that way too. Like, I don't know, but they didn't give you that option. They were just like, hey, you bought it you bought the DLC physically on this disc, so if you want to play this, you can't play the digital version anymore. And I think it just overwrites the digital one. I'm like, all right.
Or
Which is
they could have at
annoying.
least treated it like two completely separate titles, two completely separate games. So
I
then you have the save data from the digital, but then you also have the one on the cartridge. So I don't know why they
see.
didn't just do that.
I don't know. See, I mean, because that might present some problems where, like, I don't know, maybe it'd be confusing on your home screen to have two different versions. I mean,
Hmm.
maybe. Like, I get why they did it, but it's a little annoying because it's like you sold me digital for the convenience of digital, and so you could save money. And now you're giving us the full game, and for people like me who want to own it, I have to buy the original game again and erase over my digital version. Like, that's what it felt like, a little bit of a middle finger, but at the same time, I'm like, at least you gave us a physical copy. So I'm torn on how to feel about that
Hmm.
because the physical copy they gave us was beautiful.
Yep.
So I
It
mean,
it is
I
scummy
have it
when they do that.
here. This is the Switch version. So I bought it on Switch
Ooh,
and
shiny,
PS4. So it's like a shiny.
sick,
Came with
dude.
like an came with an art book, and they did have, I don't know if it was PAX West, but they had a Sega Genesis manual that they printed for the game, and I got like two copies somewhere. I think they're in my parents' house with all of my crap. One day, hopefully, I'll take all my crap out of my parents' house and be like, I have space for it now. Until then, I don't have space for it.
Mhm.
And the longer it takes, like if whatever they want to do with their house, I'm at their whim, so I might have to put it in storage one day. And I'm like, I don't know how storage works with weather sometimes,
Mhm.
so please let me get a good house that I can to put everything on display. But yeah, so I don't know if you saw the that like little short I did where I was like, oh, the new Sonic Origins trailer. Like finally, I can't wait to line up the Sonic Origins box with my Sonic Mania Plus collection. And then it was like the Sega guy in the suit. He's like, sorry, but it's digital only.
I did see that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I cracked myself up with that. I don't know. I had like a one hit wonder where I did the like
Metalocalypse
The
thing.
Ken Penders in a nutshell was like a one hit wonder, and it's like over 10K views on TikTok
Dang.
and I think on YouTube now too. And I made a second one for like digital only games, and like nobody's watching it. I'm like, okay, I guess just a one hit wonder. Woo.
Which I
So
feel
I
like a
have
lot of the reason that the Ken Penders one got so much traction is because it's Sonic related. I'm sure he had Sonic as like a keyword, and with the Sonic movie coming out and all that, people were looking for Sonic, and I'm sure that popped up.
yeah.
So
Well, I do have ideas for Ken Penders in a Nutshell 2 and a Ken Penders in a Nutshell 3. And
the
I didn't
trilogy.
want, yeah, I didn't want to heavily rely on that only. So I was
Hmm.
like, oh, I have ideas for other stuff. And I do have some other ideas for other
Yep.
stuff. So maybe I'll just go back and forth. And I was a little bit too busy to really do that recently. But I'm thinking about doing other cartoons because I can do sort of imitations of characters from other shows. So I'm like, oh, maybe instead of just Metalocalypse, I could do some of the characters from Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, and I could do some of the characters from Dragon Ball Z Abridged. I'm like, oh, why don't I do like a Dragon Ball Z Abridged dub or like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged dub?
Okay.
I don't know. Um, or I could do Cow from Cow and Chicken, but I can't do Chicken or the Red Guys. Oh, it's like, is there a moment where just Cow speaks by herself? I don't know. But anyway, so anything else going on that you want to talk about? I feel like we can just keep beating Kingdom Hearts 4 to death, but
Yeah. I start saying we really can't. I would love to talk about Sonic too, but I do. I mean, we are planning on doing that with Apocalypse, so we
mm,
just it's our schedules are really tied up right now, and he's actually working a new job Monday through
mm,
Wednesday, so that ties up obviously these next 3 days. So we're gonna shoot for Friday. I'll probably be tied up Friday, so and then my brother's graduating Saturday, so we'll be busy with that. So I'm just gonna have another busy weekend. So we'll try and figure out a time to do that when it's still relevant. But of course, you guys know how tough life is, and sometimes you have to schedule stuff and stuff happens. So we're still gonna do that. But I mean, if you want to talk about Kingdom Hearts 4 again, I mean,
I'm always down to talk about Kingdom
yep.
Hearts. It's one of my favorite series.
Mhm.
One thing I would like to do is if we have people watching in the chat, I would say, give us suggestions for stuff you want to talk
Mhm.
about. But um, we haven't really gotten too many people in the live chat. So, we aim for Monday nights, people. So
Mhm.
if you do want to talk in the chat and give suggestions for stuff we could talk about and, interact with you in the chat, as long as it's not overwhelming,
Mhm.
which I don't see it being that overwhelming, then feel free to join us. Monday nights is our target.
Mhm.
Last week we couldn't do Monday. We aimed for Friday. So yeah, that's we
Mhm.
want this to be interactive with the community too. So I remember at the height of when like a year or so ago when we were doing live shows and my computer was crapping out and we had to go back to pre-recorded. Um, we were kind of at a height where we started getting people in the live chat, and unfortunately, like time and technical difficulties made it so we couldn't keep up.
Yep.
But we're trying to start it up again
Mhm.
now, and that'd be cool to get
Mhm.
people giving us ideas, talking, because that was fun. Um, Other than that, we can dive into Kingdom Hearts 4 again.
Dive to the heart.
Um, has there? Oh yeah, we could dive to the Kingdom Hearts 4.
Mhm.
Um, what? I feel like what else is there to? Excuse me. Oh my God, I'm so gassy. what,
Coke will
what
do
is there?
that.
Well, if you haven't seen, I was sipping some Coca Cola and
Yep.
Coke Zero, and I was like, I shouldn't be drinking while talking, but I'm really in the mood for soda. But it's like, what else is there to talk about Kingdom Hearts that we haven't already said, without also diving into spoilers upon spoilers? When at the same time, it's really talking about like old games at this point, right?
Mhm.
Kingdom Hearts 3 is pretty old now. I should say
2019.
pretty old.
That's crazy to think about.
2019?
Yep.
For some reason I
I
was
think it
thinking like
was
2020.
February. It was either the end of January, beginning. I think it was January. I think it was the tail end of
Wow.
January. Yeah,
Wow,
I
2019. I
know.
was I remember I remember playing Kingdom Hearts 3 when I first got the job I have now, and I was in Florida for a few months. And I remember sitting in my apartment in Florida playing Kingdom Hearts 3 at night. I specifically remember, like, I mean, obviously I played the whole game, but I just specifically remember spending a long time sailing around in the Pirates of the Caribbean level, like in my apartment in Florida. And I was like, whoa, this is huge.
Yeah, I remember playing it after my brother did, and I was just like, "Crap, this is a huge world." So,
Yeah,
and it's
like,
pretty too. It's a really nice looking world.
I haven't really watched any of the Pirates of the Caribbean after the original trilogy, so like in a future Kingdom Hearts, I wonder if they're gonna just continue adapting it. And I feel like Jack Sparrow's so iconic in the Kingdom Hearts Pirates of the
Hmm.
Caribbean. Um, so like, what are they gonna do unless they just don't do? I mean, I don't know what they could do. There's a lot of Disney sequels out there that they just ignore because they're not as iconic for Kingdom Hearts, I feel.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they'll do. They'll just ignore them. Like if we ever return to the Pride Lands, do you think we'd get a Lion King 2 adaptation?
That would be
Or like,
interesting. With Kovu and Kiara, and that would be interesting for sure. But
well, there was really, it's been so long, but there wasn't really was there a villain in that
Zira,
one?
yep, she was. I don't know if she was Scar's wife or if she was just part of the Pride that Scar tried to lead away from
Mm-hmm.
the Pride lands. Like there was a separate Pride of Lions that apparently Scar had led when
Hmm.
he. I don't know how it happened. I mean, I don't know if they were all related to Scar because they all look different than the regular prides in the Pride lands. I don't know. I don't know the
Hmm.
backstory of it. But I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't because again, it's been so long since I've seen it too. I remember liking it
Hmm.
as a kid. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
The Lion King, but it was pretty good for what it was. But I don't remember exactly how Zero played into it. If anything, I do think it was maybe his sister. I don't remember if it was his spouse or his sister, but I know that I think it might have been his sister because Scar was his uncle. I'm pretty sure. No, grandfather.
Hmm.
So it must have been. Hmm,
I'm not sure.
that is.
I
I
think
don't
there
know.
was like interrelations, but that's normal for
Hmm.
lions. And I feel like
Yeah. Fun fact: Nala
I
and
think
Simba
it's
are cousins.
yeah, I
Um,
think it's normal for lions,
because they're
but
animals.
they probably did not play it up for the movie because they did, because for humans it's like
A no
taboo.
no.
So
Yeah.
they just didn't want to. They probably it's probably the case that yes, like they are into whatever in the movie, but I forget the word and I we don't want to talk about it anyway. But I think the point is they were like, yeah, that's the case, but we're not talking about it. So so when you actually think about it, you're like, oh, but then you don't consider the fact they're animals and it's normal for them. I
Hmm.
think so. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, but we give them personalities and talking, and then it's like you give them this human nature to it, and then you expect human behavior, and you're sorely disappointed when it's not. Or you're just like, ooh. But whatever the case may be, it would be interesting to see these like B tier sequels, but maybe not spend as much time on them like as like the main stories. Maybe like they were maybe they could be like side stories in the game
Hmm.
itself. Excuse me. Like when you go like in Kingdom Hearts 2 when you have to return to each level again and they have this like little short story of like, oh, you catch up with so and so and then you do whatever with the keyhole. I think that if there's an opportunity to return to some games that have these like B tier sequels, and I say B tier like in the case in the sense that I don't think they were released in the movie theater, so I don't know how Disney considers them. I feel like they only consider the first as like their primary
Yeah.
movies, and then all the sequels after that were direct to video, they probably don't care as much
Yeah,
about.
and you can tell usually with the animation quality, like some of the
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beast sequels were barely sequels. They were more like just
Mm,
shoddily put together,
yeah.
made for home DVDs and stuff. Yeah. I mean, the
And
second, there was a, which one was the one? Forte that Tim
oh my
Curry
god, I
played. It
just
was the
thought of a
Christmas one.
crazy theory, but you continue, and then I'll
But I know there was one. Was that the one that was technically there? Because it wasn't really a sequel to Beauty and the Beast because it took place when Belle was still in the tower. But in the movie, it didn't really show her being that long that she celebrated Christmas with the entire, you know, what is it called? The not the crew, the staff in Beast Castle. So somehow they shoehorned into the canon that she spent the Christmas with the Beast and
mm,
the staff, and then Forte was this giant piano with a face voiced by Tim Curry. So I don't know if they can incorporate him at all. I don't know, but that's the one sequel from Beauty and the Beast that I think of. And then of course you have Melody from the Mermaid, the Little Mermaid sequel. Kovu and Kiara from the Lion King sequel. And I don't know, there's not really any. I think Atlantis had a sequel, yet we haven't even had the first one yet. I feel like that would be a cool series to be representing Kingdom Hearts. But Tarzan had a sequel. I
hmm.
I started watching that. I never finished it. I really don't remember much about it. But it's sad that most of the best Disney movies had really crappy sequels. I mean, Kronk's New
Hmm.
Groove is not good. I remember because I had just watched
Well, we still
Emperor's New
didn't get
Groove again.
Emperor's New Groove in
Dude,
Kingdom
that would be
Hearts.
such a good world. Oh my gosh. Oh, that'd be so good. And I don't know. I started to say it'd be such a great world, but Eartha Kitt's gone, and she was great as Yzma. So I don't know
Hmm.
who you could get to ever be Yzma again. But
Well, that didn't stop them from using Xehanort
that's
after
true.
Leonard Nimoy
He
passed away.
sounded
But
so different though.
they also kind of had to. Yeah, I hate to say this, but because they recasted him twice because
Yep.
the second person they got passed away. I hate to say this because it's not that actor's fault, but I don't think that the the first replacement, and I forget their names. I don't think he was a good replacement for Xehanort because he didn't sound anything like him.
Hmm.
But then when he passed away, and then they recasted him again for the Remind DLC and the Melody of Memory cutscenes, I was like, Leonard Nimoy, but it was like whoever they got for the third voice or slash the second recast, sounded so much more like Leonard Nimoy, and I was like, all the power to the guy who voiced him, after Leonard Nimoy and then passed away. Like, all the power to him. It's not his fault that Disney cast someone who didn't sound as much as Xehanort as Leonard Nimoy. So it's not his fault, but I kind of wish they found the last person first, just because he
Hmm.
sounded so much like the Xehanort
Yep.
we knew,
And the guy
But
from Kingdom Hearts 3 wasn't bad. It's just when you
no,
already
he
have a
wasn't
character
bad
who
at
sounds a
all.
certain way, it'd be like if SpongeBob started speaking British or
Yeah,
Mickey had a New York accent or something like that.
and that's
It's
like
it's totally not the character. And
right.
it's no disrespect, like you said, to the guy that played him in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah,
It's just it wasn't
was a little off.
anything like Leonard Nimoy's
Yeah,
interpretation where he had the raspy voice and it's
yeah,
just I remember when I first heard him I was like his voice is like buttery smooth. He sounded so different in Birth by Sleep.
yeah,
But yeah, it is a good
yeah,
villain voice. It did not match at all. So I feel like if he had been
yeah,
a different villain in a different series, it would have been perfect. But just
yeah.
the
And
fact
I
it was
want to
Xehanort.
emphasize that it's not a knock against his talents or his acting or
Mhm.
anything. I think it's just like the vocal range was a little off, and
Yeah.
that's just a result of like it didn't match exactly. And that, again, that's not a knock at him. Like, he did a great job. Like, it was close enough to be like to warp your head around, okay, this is his voice now, without sounding too off. But it was also off enough to be like, they could have gotten like
Yeah.
a better impersonator maybe. But then the next person they got, I was like, did they resurrect Leonard Nimoy? Or actually, my first guess was, because I didn't know the guy passed away, so my first guess was like, oh, like he really worked on his impersonation. He somehow like got it really good. And then it was like, oh no, it's a new guy again. And I'm like, where was this guy when because like because Xehanort's voice throughout the entire series you were so used to, it would have been cool to have it as close as possible for the
Hmm.
conclusion, you know? It's just eh, like they did what they had to do. Maybe the guy wasn't available, or he did an audition, or I don't know what the case was, but like maybe the guy they got the first time as the first recast slash replacement was probably, it could have been the best. Like, maybe everyone else was even way off. So it's just like you get who you can get.
Yep.
Um, so it's just a shame that Leonard Nimoy had to pass away. Like, if he could have kept voicing the character, then that might be a knock at that might be more of a knock at Square Enix for taking so long to make Kingdom Hearts 3.
Hmm.
Like, I forget, it was 13 years or something like that. Like, I don't know.
Something like that.
For
Yeah.
some reason 13 is popping out, and maybe it's just because of
Yeah.
Organization
Seriously.
13. But like, they just took so long to make Kingdom Hearts
Yep.
3, and I don't know why. They were doing so many spin-offs, and those games were important for the story, sure, but I was like, oh, you guys are taking a little too long.
Hmm.
I was afraid something like that would happen, and it did. I didn't want to
Yep.
put that into the atmosphere by saying it, but I was like, I'm a little worried someone's gonna pass away by the time, and one of the most important characters, voice actor, passed away. So it's a shame,
Hmm.
but the important thing, the crazy theory I had when you were talking, that I was like, oh, I'll get back to, was I was just thinking like the Toy Box world, the video game in Toy Box world is supposedly, we think is real in the world of fiction. What about what those toys in Toy Box are based on? Like, will we see a Buzz Lightyear world based on Star Command cartoon series, or the new live movie they're doing?
Hmm.
You know, because if there's a video game, because in the Toy Box world, there's a video game, Verum Rex, that's what it's called, and Verum Rex had merchandise in the Toy Box world. So toys are based on things Yeah, I mean, like the toy box world is like there's merchandise, excuse me, based on stuff that exists in the world of fiction or unreality.
Hmm.
What else, like can we have the Buzz Lightyear Star Command? Can we have the Woody's Roundup?
Yep.
Can we have? I don't even know what. Just those are the two that pop out in mind. I mean, it's not like Mr. Potato Head had a big series
Hmm.
in Toy Story. I think really the big ones were Woody and Buzz
Hmm.
because they were kind of like competing with each other for like the new toy, and Woody was like popular at one point and then Buzz was. So like that just makes me wonder, can we see a Woody's Roundup and a Buzz Lightyear Star Command adaptation in the world of unreality, you know? Like I can see Sora being like, "Oh, Buzz," and he's like, "Who are you? Like I've never
Yep.
met you." And he's like, "You look a little different," and he's like, "I don't know who you are," you know?
Hmm.
Like I think that would be pretty cool.
Yep.
And Disney's making the new. I don't know if it's Disney, but they're making that like super realistic Buzz Lightyear movie, right?
It's Disney Pixar. Yep.
Okay, I mean they can give us that as a world, and that like we could see that as a world in unreality, you know?
Hmm. It's funny because I was just thinking about it the other day, how, Andy gets Buzz for his birthday because Buzz Lightyear is this new cool toy that's just been released, and it's like, oh, this is a huge thing because everybody loves Buzz Lightyear. And if you think about it, this was back in 1995, and as good as Toy Story's animation is, that was the animation peak for that time. And now we've got Lightyear, which is what that show that Andy fell in love with is supposed to look like, and it's like super high definition, super cool looking, super modern looking, and that's not what it would have looked like in 1995 when Andy would have gotten Buzz. And I'm just because I was thinking that I was like, this is supposed to be back in the mid 90s when this show was on, and no movie, animated or otherwise, would look like this
Mm.
unless it's supposed to be based off of a live action show, kind of like how Star Wars and Star Trek and all that was, where it's live action actors with CGI ships and stuff. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's what it is. And since it's animated because it's Pixar, it looks animated to us, but it's real to Andy and them. So maybe that's,
Mm-hmm.
I might have just solved my answered my own question. So,
But we also have to wonder what's the extent of fiction being real in the world of unreality.
mhm.
Like, does every world, like, if we think back in Kingdom Hearts and think of any story that any character might have said to someone else, which I don't think really happened ever. But if you think about like those world, like the Disney movies behind them, and if any characters said anything in that, like the Woody's Roundup and Buzz Lightyear Star Command or whatever the show was in Toy Story, like what other fictional things in those Disney franchises could be in the world of unreality, you know? Like I don't know what, but what you
Did you ever see the I think it was a Christmas one of the Christmas specials, Toy Story That Time Forgot, with the battle sores
no.
and what's his name? Something Rex. Reptilis Maximus. And it's like, you remember the Triceratops Trixie from Toy Story
Mhm.
3? Well, she is of course like a like stereotypical dinosaur. These guys are like muscular, like scaly versions of dinosaurs. They're like they've got battle axes and bone armor and all this stuff. They look really freaking cool. And of course, I'm a dude, I love dinosaurs, and so I was just like, this is cool. So I feel like that would be a cool fictional world to draw
Hmm.
inspiration from, because you have the toy versions of that, just like with Buzz Lightyear, and then you have the movie or the show that's based off of, because of course, merch is going to be
Wasn't
made off of TV shows. And so the TV show Battle Swords within the Toy Story universe has its own merch. So Battle Swords is also a movie slash TV show in that universe, like Lightyear is. So that's another fictional
what
world that could
wasn't
be.
there like a dinosaur franchise in the toy box world in like the toy store? I remember seeing dinosaurs or something.
Oh, it's been so long. Um,
But you
it
know,
may have been. I don't know how long Battle Sword. What? How long ago was Battle Swords released? It might have been 2018, 2019. So maybe that was a hint towards that, possibly.
but
I'm
you know
not sure.
what else? I was just thinking like that doll that was like a boss in the store
Hmm.
in the toy store world was like really popular just because like people really liked, I guess, the way it looked, and it was in the trailer, and people didn't know what it was. So it became like really popular around the time Kingdom Hearts 3 came out. I'm wondering, could they make up their own fictional world where like that doll came from, and give us that a world in Unreality, and be like, this is the real person that the doll was based
Hmm.
on. Like, there's so many things they can do to appease fans also, and just to have interesting original stories. Like you could do one or two worlds like that, and then you have your Star Wars world and your like non-Disney in-house, like your non-in-house Disney stuff,
Hmm.
like Star Wars and Indiana Jones or whatnot. Like there's a lot of potential, and I really think it would be cool if they did something like Lightyear. Um, it's a new movie coming out, so they can do that, and it matches with like the whole idea of unreality, and being like, oh, Buzz, you look a little different, and he's like, sorry kid, I don't know who you are.
Hmm.
And then like then he kind of realizes like, oh, this is similar to that Verum Rex game, and I saw people who looked like that too. Maybe because they like to build things up slowly in Kingdom Hearts, and
Hmm.
they like to, at least after the first game, most of the Disney worlds feel like filler. So it's like this is your opportunity to fill things in and build things up, and be like, here's another world based on some toy you interacted with. It's like, that's just like Verum Rex and
Yep.
Quadratum, and then he can think about it and be like, oh, this is very similar. Like, what's going on here? I don't know. Let's spend a few hours playing through
Let's
it.
traverse through this area.
Which makes me wonder, the Monsters Inc. world, do those doors, the doors that lead to like wherever, were they specific to the world of Monsters Inc.?
I'm
Or
pretty sure. Like I think because there's the human world and then the monster world, and
right?
the doorways are the like parallel dimension entrances between them. Um, which
Because I
I
think
don't know how that works in the universe.
I heard at one point that a lot of the assets used for inside the other doors were from other worlds in Kingdom Hearts 3, but I think it might have been a case of just like reusing assets,
Mhm.
just to like, because there's like not, it's like a waste of a lot of time to create completely new assets to show like behind a door that's going to
Yeah.
be in a second. So I mean, I guess you can either chalk it up to like, it's not like, this is not a door to Olympus, but just on the other side of the door looks similar. Like
Mhm.
they can go either way. They could say, oh, it is to Olympus. I wish we could get some confirmation, but I think
Yeah.
the idea is that, so it's either one of two things here. The world of Monsters Inc. takes place in a separate like plane of existence, maybe from all the other worlds, in that like it's almost like a reverse side. You can
It's almost like
go
its own
back
little
and forth.
pocket dimension that has access to all the
Yeah,
other worlds. So
yeah.
that'd be
Or
weird. That'd be interesting.
or it is on the same plane of existence as the other worlds, as a separate world, but that factory, they actually created legitimate portals to every world, at least in that plane of existence.
Hmm.
They only go so far, which, like, there's a lot of different ways they can do this. They can even like have uh like, if Donald and Goofy are trying to find Sora, they can even have them revisit the Monsters Inc.
Hmm.
factory, and be like, maybe Yen Sid told them, what this world, like, they experimented with portals. Maybe try to figure out how they did that, or and then that's a reason for Donald and Goofy to go to the world of Monsters Inc. And
Hmm.
if you can't play as Sora, maybe you can play as Riku with alongside Donald and Goofy, which would be really interesting to see them interact, because they never interact.
Yep.
And they could kind of like, maybe we can get some cool discussions of the events of Kingdom Hearts, like I don't think either character would want to bring it up, but if it got brought up, like maybe Riku will remember when he like turned away Sora, or was jealous of Sora befriending Goofy and Donald, and the fact that the three of them are working together, he might have to address that, and he might be like, "I'm sorry," or something.
Hmm.
Like, I think that would be really neat to have Riku alongside Donald and Goofy,
hmm It's like because
revisiting
it's
some.
basically like Sora's different cliques. He's got Kyrie and
Yeah,
Riku, and then he's got Donald and Goofy,
yeah,
and he's super tight and close to both of them. And this would bring them together. It's like, we have a
yeah.
common friend, and then this way they would become closer. They would
Hmm.
build this special bond that Sora, Donald, and Goofy have. Now it'd be Riku, Donald, and Goofy because they have the same goal, trying to find Sora. They have the same mutual friend, and it's like this would help bring them together into a
Hmm.
closer relationship, if not a super tight friendship, at least something where they understand each other, they understand, both parties' love for Sora and just
Hmm.
him as a friend and stuff. And that'd be cool. That would be cool.
Alternatively, I think at the end of Melody of Memory, I don't know if I think Riku. I don't know if he already did or if he was going to, but I think he used his Keyblade, and maybe I'm misremembering because I could be wrong, but I remember him using his Keyblade for something, and I feel like he was going to go to where Sora is, and I think Kairi was, she was going to stay behind to train with Aqua. So if that's the case, Riku won't even be there. So maybe Kairi will be the one with Donald and Goofy.
That would be cool. And they give them a chance to flesh her out more
And yeah,
because she's fairly one noted right now.
it could really be anyone. Like everyone could have a turn with
Mhm.
Donald and Goofy. Even Mickey. Can you imagine being
Oh,
like
that'd be
the
so
Three
cool.
Musketeers?
Yep.
Like they can even have mention to it. It's like it's just like old times. Like, it's just like old
Yep.
times. Or however Donald talks. That was my bad impression.
It's hard to do
Oh,
Donald's voice
it's
for
just
sure.
like old times, fellas.
Of course,
And
the whole team's back.
that would be really
That would
cool,
be fun.
actually.
Because, I mean, the only other time you've been able to play as Mickey is in Kingdom
As
Hearts
if
2
you
when Sora
lost.
falls. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, Light, give me power! And then, yeah. I remember when I finally figured out you could actually play as him, I started like, I think I like ran away and then I pressed the attack button. I was like, wait, I could play as Mickey? And so I did that for a little bit against, Zaldin was the main one that happened with. Zaldin
Mhm.
kicked my butt so much. And that was when I first saw that because it said don't give up. And I was like, I don't have to restart. And then Mickey popped, and I was like, wait, what, Mickey? And then I started just mashing the heal button, and I think I went and ran and tried to attack him. I was just like, oh, cool. Of course, he did like no damage, but it was still cool to do. So
Mm. So I've probably asked you this a million times. Apparently I've asked Nint this a million times too, but which Kingdom Hearts games have you played? Have you played them all?
2 and 3, and I
Okay.
played
But have,
most of Chain of Memories. I got stuck on the Riku battle or Ansem Riku battle.
so like the
So,
end.
yeah, near the end of the game. And then
Did
I
you
know once you
watch
beat the
the
game, that's when Sora, Donald, and Goofy go into their like cryogenic sleep that Naminé puts them in to restore his
Mm.
memories and stuff and make him whole again. Of course, we find out later that's because of Ventus and Roxas and stuff.
Yeah.
And then Riku goes back down the tower, and that's how he becomes Ansem Riku
Mm.
again
Now did
with
you
Diz. So
finish like did you watch the cutscenes to see what you missed?
no, I just
Or you just
remember
kind of like
looking
read
it
up
up.
on it?
Yeah, I
Oh.
just kind of read up on because I was like, okay, how much farther do I have to go after I beat Riku? And I'm like literally at the end.
You're at the end.
I think you beat Ansem Riku, and then you fight Ansem
I
again.
don't think it was
And I
as
think
difficult on the PS2, or maybe I was better, or they cut back on, because I remember specifically on the Game Boy Advance, I remember Ansem constantly saying submit, like he was using a move. So I just remember specifically playing, and I just remember hearing submit, submit, submit,
I
submit.
remember you saying
Like,
that now. I forgot what game it was referring to,
I
but
think
yeah.
it was the Game Boy Advance version of Chain of Memories. I just remember like
Okay.
he'd be like, submit, 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 calm, dark, submit, calm, darkness, submit, submit. So I'm just like, what is going on here?
And I just remember the gameplay being very weird because you have to
Yeah.
set up a certain amount of cards and they have to add up to a total that beats your enemy, and then you eventually run out of cards and you can't do
Mm.
anything. So I just remember running out of cards and I couldn't do anything, so he spanked me and then I lost, and it was
Mm.
like, how do I beat this? So yeah, I
Did
do
you
want
just
to.
say he spanked
Yeah,
me?
he just he beat me, but yeah, I was just like,
Submit.
submit Sora. It's just- but yeah, it's just,
Gosh.
man, it I just remember it just being difficult. I remember vividly the one boss fight that I was like, oh my gosh, I had my butt cheeks clenched. It was when you fight Dragon Maleficent, and she's got two full bars of health, and your attacks do little to nothing, and you have to sit there and jump on the platforms, avoid her fireballs, and jump up
Mm,
and slash her. My
I
Game
think
Boy
I.
battery turned red right at the beginning of the battle. I was like, oh crap.
Uh,
My my Game Boy Advance SP. I'm sitting there chugging along trying to beat it. I'm like, come on, please don't die, please don't die. And I saved it and everything, and then I was able to save it. And I was just like, so I vividly remember that because it's just like so intense. It's like if this dies and I beat her and then I lose, I'm gonna be so mad I actually beat her. And it was a good day. So I
uh,
remember that. So
childhood traumas
yep,
of like battery,
the red
like
light of
trying to.
doom.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Like nobody really. I mean, you have to put up with it now, but at least you can reach. Now there's recharging for your handhelds,
Yeah.
but for us when we were younger, it was batteries. It's like, do I have more batteries? I hope I have more batteries.
Which
Where are
the
the
SP did
batteries?
charge. So I think that
Mm,
was when they first introduced the chargers. So because we had a Game Boy Advance with no backlight, that was fun.
right.
He had batteries and stuff. So,
Well, we got a few minutes left. And I just want to keep talking about Kingdom Hearts, but like I feel like I want to be like mark my words. Like if you see Lightyear in Kingdom Hearts 4, I called it. You know,
mhm.
like
Or Monsters Inc. somehow being tied to every world. That would
yeah,
I don't know because I in the movie universe they're the same world. It's just like it's there's a divide somehow, and the
yeah. It's never
portals to
really
the door.
explained.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's never really explained in the movie. But in the movie, I assumed it was like another dimension. You know, like
Mhm.
a mirror world. You know, like the high rule and low rule.
Yep, and there's some kind of power because if you just open a door, it's just blank. But then when you activate it, then the portal opens up, and
Mm,
it's weird how they did that, and they don't really explain it except it's like, oh, we run everything off of screams and now off of laughter, and it's just like, yeah, but like, how does nothing open into a kid's bedroom? Like, how do you do
mm,
that? So yeah, it's it's not really
yeah.
explored. So I feel like that would be cool to explore in this more in depth. And then they could talk about the dreams of the kids and their hearts and opens to and the laughter makes
Well,
yeah. So
they're certainly, or I shouldn't say certainly, but they're probably gonna explore these Disney worlds and pull things out to use in the greater Kingdom Hearts mythos. And I say that because it sounds like they're gonna be going to the underworld to see Hades.
mhm.
You know, so they're probably gonna try to connect the underworld to like unreality or to like the end of like the final world, whatever it was called in I think it was called the final world,
Mhm.
which is like the afterlife or to an extent the afterlife. So I'm wondering what else can they pull from Disney worlds that they can like pull and connect into the Kingdom Hearts lore, like original lore. And I'm thinking they could use the Monsters Inc. doors to do something like that as well.
Mhm.
Um, they could explore the idea of Scar turning into a ghost and being like, you know, how does that connect to the final world?
Yep.
Or like, you know, do only like good souls go to the final world and like bad souls go all the way to like Olympus worlds, like
Yep.
underworld? Like,
And it's
what
like,
happens
what
if,
does Scar have a nobody now?
yeah,
Stuff like that. And
like,
it's like, is there a shell of Scar coming around that's like
well, I
Arxis or
think
something?
I think that
Arxis.
Arxis. I think that only if you have a strong enough will, your body becomes a nobody.
Okay.
Otherwise, I think it just disperses. But I don't know. So I guess like if you don't have a strong enough will and you turn to a you turn to a heartless, so your heart becomes the heartless, and your body just I don't know it just disappears. I guess so. Like if
Mhm.
your heart turns back into if your heartless turns back into you, through the power of light or whatever. I guess your body reforms because it's not being used by a nobody. Like that's what I imagine. Um,
Perhaps.
but I'm curious what happens if somebody dies in a different world. Does their soul get sent to the underworld in Olympus? So, like, if they were revived or they left the underworld, they would be on this new world and be like, how do I get home? Or does each world have its own, like, afterlife?
Yeah.
You know? which I feel like they might start to explore that now that we're dealing with afterlife. And even Pirates of the Caribbean, I think, has
Yep.
its own
Because I mean,
like
that's where you fight pretty much. Because I think it's Donald or one that was like, "Are we, you know, not alive?" And it's like,
yeah.
because I mean, they're with Barbossa, who was killed in Kingdom Hearts 2. They're with Davy Jones, who's like Sea Satan. So I mean,
Yeah.
you're literally in the
See
bottom of the
Satan.
ocean pretty much. So yeah.
I think that my understanding or my interpretation of it is that the final world is the final for every world,
Hmm.
but maybe each world has its own path to the final world. And so, like, Olympus's underworld could be a path to the final world, or like Pirates of the Caribbean's um, Davy Jones' Locker, or whatever it's called, is like another path to the final
Hmm.
world. And maybe there are different final worlds based on like your soul, you know? Like maybe the one that Sora was sent to was like for one type of soul. You know, like maybe they're going to explore the afterlife of Kingdom Hearts, which could become like tricky not landscape, like a tricky thing to traverse because it's
Hmm.
like we're Disney and Square Enix, and we want to talk about fun stuff and like hearts and stuff, and it's like, how much do you want to dive into the afterlife?
Yep. And then at the
You
same
know?
time, I was just thinking of that. What other big time popular Pixar movies could we do besides Monsters Inc. and Toy Story? I think Inside Out could be really interesting. We're talking about heart and, light and
Mm,
stuff. And it's like, imagination, creativity, and all that stuff. And then you have joy and sadness. I mean, think about if joy, is like the super happy, and then sadness would be tempted to turn to the darkness because it's like nobody
mm.
likes her, nobody wants her to do her part in taking care of Riley, and so she's tempted by the darkness to to turn to it and stuff like that. And then Sora teams up with Joy, and they have to go off to help Bing Bong
Or
or something in Riley's imagination, and then it's like tied to her heart, and it's like
or they
so.
go into a different character and like we
Mhm,
see the different emotions of Sora or someone else,
mhm.
and it's like they all have Sora's hair.
That would be cool.
But I was thinking that I forget the name of it. That it's like it uses, I think, the Mexican afterlife
Coco.
lore. Yeah, Coco.
Yep, that would be really
That
good.
could be another world that could bring in to
That's
discuss more.
probably one of the best ones I think they could use. If you're talking about
Yeah.
like Afterlife, Pixar, oh yeah. And Soul was okay, but I think Coco is just it's just such a grand scale. And honestly, a lot of Soul takes place in like the real world. I mean, there's a little
Mm.
bit when 22 and Joe are like traversing around, then they finally get back to the real world, and you know, they make their way back and stuff. But I feel like it's not, and it's so amorphous and just blue, whereas
Mm.
Coco is this vibrant city with all these skeleton people and all this music, and I feel like it could be a really cool and vibrant world, even if it is just like an underworld world. But it could be
Mm.
really more of a fun upbeat, and then it's like you have Hector de la Cruz, who's the villain, and all that stuff, and I feel like they could really do a lot with that. They could have some fun with that.
They can also do it. My voice just cracked.
I
They
feel
can
that.
also do it. They can also do it with Princess and the Frog because
Yeah.
Dr. Facilier
Yes.
did
Yeah.
something with like this underworld
Yep, his
esque
friends from the
or
other
afterlife
side.
esque.
Yep,
His friends from the other side. Yeah. So the other side could be like something that gets explored, or they could connect
that's
it to
true.
Final. Like a lot of these movies that they could still. So like we have the Kingdom Hearts version of reality exploring some more Disney films like Princess and the Frog. Which, if we're just gonna use that for the other side, then in Kingdom Hearts fashion, we get to go through a whole Disney movie as filler before we get to the actual point of the world. But we have things like that in Coco where maybe like Donald and Goofy are trying to figure out how they can reach Sora, and then we go to Sora where he's dealing with like the non-Disney stuff like Quadratum and maybe Lightyear,
Yep,
and Star
and they could do
Wars.
something like Doctor Facilia's like, "Heard you boys need some help finding a friend. Let me introduce you to my friends and stuff." And then they have antics with that. That could be fun. Then
Yeah.
they like encounter Heartless as part of his friends from the other side and all that stuff. And Dr. Facilier could, where he gets sucked into the portal in the original movie at the end, they could do that where he becomes a Heartless or something, and he becomes a
Mhm.
boss battle or something like that. So that has a lot of potential, I think. I feel like that would be
Yeah.
a really good one.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of good predictions in this episode for Kingdom Hearts
Yep.
4. I was going to name this episode Alpha's Big Bulk, but I might just call it like Kingdom Hearts 4 predictions.
Hmm.
Like because
And I feel like this was a
like
good episode for that because I feel like before we've talked so much about Star Wars, Marvel, Back to the
yeah.
Future, Indiana Jones, and about stuff that's outside of the Disney realm. This was really an episode where we focused on stuff that Disney like is in house, Disney
Mhm.
Pixar, stuff like that. So as much as I do want to see Star Wars and Marvel,
Yeah.
it's nice to remember, we still have a lot of movies that haven't been touched, that have not been
Mm.
mentioned or brought into the Kingdom Hearts canon. So
Especially with I mean, I know we got to go, but I just want to say especially with like Star Wars and MCU being so big, filling multiple like not stories, but like films and
yep.
books and stuff.
And just so many characters encompassed
There's
in those.
so much they can pull from to cater towards the story they want to tell.
Yep.
Like if they want to tell a story closer to the afterlife, we can explore. Oh, how is like Yoda or Luke or whoever else, Obi-Wan, able to communicate through the Force? Like
Yep.
can we maybe explore what is the Force and how does that connect to the final world? Like, it seems like worlds in both reality and unreality have all their different afterlife things that could maybe lead to the final world, which I guess is in the middle of them all.
Hmm.
So, but yeah, I guess that'll wrap it up before I at least will tangent into more Kingdom Hearts. So I guess I mean I never even ask where can they find you because it's always in the
Hmm.
description. But if there's anywhere in particular, where can they find you?
Here on YouTube, obviously under AlphaStoutland, and the same name on Twitter. I would recommend Discord, but I'm never on Discord. It's pretty defunct
Yeah,
at this point.
I
But
noticed.
yeah, and I think I've talked about this before. I'm trying to be particular about which social media I'm using all the time, and Twitter and YouTube always take priority just because
Mm-hmm.
I'm on Twitter a good bit, looking for Funko drops and Pokemon drops and stuff,
Mm,
and also just interacting with people, retweeting stuff. So, and then
right,
YouTube, of course, when I get back into my uploading schedule, this will be where my main content goes. So, but yeah, if you want to
right.
reach out either one of those places, hit me up.
All right, cool. And if you're watching this, you're already on my channel, and all my other links will be in the description below. I usually go by Jumaru or Jumaru_comics or Diamond Death or just my name. It varies depending on the social media. So whatever. Until then, guys. Hold on. Let me pull up OBS so I know when to. Okay. All right. Until then, guys. Catch you hopefully next week.
Bye, guys.